Oh, yo, it's been a while, guys. Hi, welcome back. Hope you guys are doing well today. Yeah, it's been a lot going on. The past few days been having a lot of releases, big emotional releases coming through with some of the work that I'm doing, parenting things. So things are progressing, things are moving. And I'm so grateful for that. Let me just see in the chat. Yeah, cool, perfect. Everything's good. Everything's groovy. All right, so sound is working. Today we're going to be going back to the Loving Parent Guidebook for a while. Something we've read before many times. I just left a ACA meeting, and as I mentioned before to you guys, the ACA program is a great place to start. But the problem is that many people get stuck in this program as they get stuck in many other 12-step programs, which is why for me it was so important to make sure that I help people, first of all, myself, begin to understand where that program is missing components and has slight misunderstandings, sometimes gross misunderstandings. But that's neither here nor there. One of the reasons, before we get started on the reading, why people in these ACA programs, or I'll stick with ACA, people who come from dysfunctional families normally have had power used against them in an unjust way. So parents have been abusive, siblings have been allowed to abuse or mistreat them. And so they're really standoffish about power, and they're really standoffish about claiming their own power. Even one of these steps, it's it really pisses me off and needs to be removed from this book immediately. Let me find it. Yes, this not the steps. Did I have a laundry list in here? Uh, where is it at? We are powerless against the. What is the number? I don't even think they had that laundry list here. That's really weird. They don't have that here. That should be here. I think. Well, I think it's in what they call the laundry list, and they said that we are powerless against the effects of growing up in a dysfunctional family. This is really the worst wording that I think you can choose. Um, Telling yourself that you are powerless, whatever you tell yourself is what's going to become your reality. Okay, so it's no benefit to you telling yourself over and over at every single meeting you go to, I'm powerless, I'm powerless, I'm powerless, I'm powerless. Stop saying this shit. Obviously, I can't say it in an ACA meeting because those people are so, not talking about everyone, but most people there are so in need of structure, in need of certainty, because they don't have self-trust to guide them, to let them live their lives the way that they want to live them naturally. And so they're looking for some outside answer to give them solution, but the solution is inside. And when you're telling yourself that you're powerless over and over, you're keeping yourself stuck. So one thing that I wish that people would stop saying is that you're powerless, because you're not powerless. And it really drives me crazy when people go to this program and they keep brainwashing themselves. I'm powerless, I'm powerless, I'm powerless. That's why you become powerless, because you keep saying yourself you're powerless. And you're not. You're not powerless over this shit. Like, you can say a better way to phrase that is that, um, I could not prevent the effects of the dysfunctional parenting on me as a child. As a child, you could not. You were quote unquote powerless as a child because you couldn't tell your parent what you're doing is wrong. You couldn't leave your parent. You couldn't find new parents. But that doesn't mean that you are powerless. And you cannot keep telling yourself and brainwashing yourself that you're powerless, because it's like really the worst thing that you can possibly do. And there are many other circumstances and things like that within this ACA program. They're not training you for the real world. It's like you're training you to live within this little bubble of this community, which is great. But I mean, we all see the world that we're living in, right? We see the fact that sociopath, these dark triad people, are the ones who rise. And if those are the people on the top of society, and the people are following them in their behavior. So you think about all of these crazy toxic TV shows, 90 Day Fiance, this housewife bullshit, whatever the shit is people are watching these days, people are like emulating the people who are at the top. This narcissistic and sociopathic, psychopathic people, they're the ones leading society. So the masses who are not aware of this ACA, reparenting, inner child healing work, they're all naturally gravitating towards that power structure, because that's how society works. That's how people work in a society, right? They follow the ones who are leading it. And so when we're learning these things, to treat people well with respect, kindness, fairness, be honest, all of these things, It's nice, but that's not really how the real world works. Even people who grew up in the perfect, supportive, loving Christian family and followed all these rules, you know, just because you had that doesn't mean that you're still not vulnerable to run into a narcissist, one of those dark triad people who can abuse and, mess up your life. So I ask myself sometimes, what is the value of this? The value of this, why I still keep reading it, even though there are many issues, as with the Bible, is that, it helps us gain a baseline understanding of our internal structure, what we should have received. And from there on, we're able to make more effective decisions. But people really get stuck in this program. And I see it in every meeting I go to. People get stuck, and they get stuck because they don't want to accept predation in this world. And I know that's going, oh my God, it sounds so toxic, so crazy. But the bottom line is we have to pay attention to how the world really works, because these things here, they say you come like the five people you spend the most time with. So if the only people that you spend time with are in like an ACA meeting or an AA meeting, then you're going to become like those people. And they say, go find someone who has what you want and follow them. You know, I've been in these programs out and out. I was never alcoholic, but I went there for some time to learn the structure of this program. How does it work? Because they copied and pasted this across other a similar program. So I wanted to gain an understanding of the history. How did this come about? All of the ins and outs. And I see people getting stuck there. It's not the answer. This 12-step shit is not the answer. Sorry. It's a good direction when you're stuck to get you launched off, but it's not the answer for life. That has to come from inside. And hopefully this ACA work helps us get to a place where we can begin making those decisions from the inside. But this is not the solution to life, like at all. It's just going to keep you as a perpetual victim. And the unwillingness of people in this program to discuss power and influence, the unwillingness of people to do that is going to lead you, to be repeatedly in those exploitative situations. Now, I'm not saying that you have to go out and manipulate and exploit people, use them. That's not the right answer either. But you have to be aware, and that is not what this program is teaching you. It's teaching you as if this perfect, world exists where people are, living in harmony, treating each other with kindness. And it is good to be able to be the change that you want to see in the world. That's important, and also important to have the awareness of the distinction between these two, or these specific two ways of living and ways of approaching the world. But this is not going to really help you get to where you need to get. So enough ranting for today. Normally I don't rant, but I just left the meeting, so that was like fresh on the top of my mind. And I just want to talk about something that is very beneficial, this in this book, despite the flaws in the program, and that is on page 107. So we're in chapter 10. In case you are following along in this book, I don't know, sometimes it's difficult to see. So you'll see there at the top, practice. With practice, feelings become more fluid. So this is valuable, regardless of how you decide to live your life. It's about that part of coming back to yourself, that inner child nurturing, right? It's good to have a safe environment where you can do that, which is, again, why the ACA program can be good. But I see so many people getting stuck, which is why I created this program, to find information for myself about what is missing, what I need to learn, because I can already tell that this program was missing something from the time that I was there. But being in touch with your feelings in the instant, in the present moment, being able to respond to them instantly is something that you need in order to be able to navigate, because your emotions, your feelings, once you're able to access those more fluidly, your feelings are God's consciousness emanating from you. That's how you know your true self. So, for example, if you are choosing between some different sports, you go play basketball for a while, and you're really feeling so happy, you're feeling energized, motivated, you're doing good, you're getting good feedback, connection with other people, and then you go do baseball and you feel like completely dead. So that's your inner being that Brian Withers talk about. That's you coming in touch with your emotions, your inner being expressing who you are, your natural true self. That's how you know you can trust yourself, when you're able to respond to the feelings as they arise, which is why this reading is important, despite some of the things that I mentioned earlier. And so let's go ahead with the reading. With practice, feelings become more fluid. Young children from healthy homes are given space to feel their feelings. They can go from tears to curiosity to joy in seconds. Our feelings can return to this more fluid nature no matter how old we are. It will require us to pause, identify, and be with what our inner child is feeling. This becomes easier the more that we practice. Mindfulness can help us remember to pause and check in. Whenever you notice that any family member has a strong feeling, try to name the feeling silently to yourself. This is anger. Naming the feeling can help reduce the intensity. To also try to locate where the feeling shows up physically and let yourself feel it. Rating on an intensity scale of 1 to 10 can also be helpful. Sometimes when our inner children's are inner children's feelings get stuck, they need to be expressed in safe ways through movement. For example, shaking, wiggling your body, dancing, singing out loud, yelling, punching a pillow, stomping, moving your body to music, all of these things. When you do this, try to make space for whatever feelings come up without trying to fix or censor them. When you're done, stand and let your head roll down towards your toes, one vertebrae at a time. Stay in this posture of surrender as long as you would like, and remind your inner family that you see and appreciate how hard they are working. When we begin becoming more aware of our feelings, parts might find it to be a bit frightening. This makes sense. We're breaking the don't talk, don't trust, don't feel rule. Our critical parent, an inner teenager, might react to try to keep our inner child's vulnerable feelings out of reach. However, our loving parent's patience and love helps our inner family members trust that it's possible, safe, and healing to feel again. Let's see. There's a quote at the end of this. Before ACA, I apologized and felt like something was wrong with me as a man when I cried. One day, when sitting outside, I heard a baby crying. A voice said, "Listen, babies cry. Human beings cry. It's one of the first things we know how to do." I realized that crying is part of being human. Thoughts of feeling stupid might still be there, but I allow myself to feel my feelings and cry when I need to. Tears are a blessing for me today. It's a quote from a fellow traveler. Um, this next section is called Feeling Your Feelings with Trusted Others. Allowing ourselves to feel our emotions in the presence of an attuned person can make our feelings more bearable. It's what we needed as kids. Yet we might feel uncomfortable expressing certain feelings or feelings in general in another's presence. We learned how to feel or not feel in the social context in our families. So it makes sense that learning how to feel in new ways today might need to happen in a social context too. Feeling our feelings in the presence of a sponsor, fellow traveler, or a therapist can make the process much easier. Another person's presence and reflective listening can help us stay focused and clear. We can learn to work through feelings with others rather than sitting with them alone. When we begin to feel our feelings and experience compassion from others, we might feel grief about having carried our pain alone. Realizing how long we might have been isolated with our feelings is the only way to measure our loss. When we see this, it's important to be gentle with ourselves and know it's part of our journey to a fulfiller life. As we begin to feel more fully and deeply, others can help us learn to celebrate this blossoming of ourselves. Hmm. Recognizing our own success and when we're acting in a dysfunctional way is an important, loving parent task. Acknowledging our fellow travelers' progress is a precious gift we can give to each other. Thank you. This is a reading that I'm going to close off with today. And it's so important that we're able to, this wind is really going crazy outside, guys. I don't know if you can hear all the things. It's so important to come in touch with our feelings because this allows us to start making those effective decisions. Now, this part about feeling your feelings with trusted others, yeah, I imagine it's something that's important, but it's not something that I've really experienced too much of myself personally. Um, I've had some instances of it, but definitely not sufficient from the people that it should have come from. And so it is a very important way to make sure that you find some safe person, safe enough person, whoever that is for you in your life. You have to keep looking for them because it helps you to kind of validate or ground in those feelings, and that emotional expression is very, very important. Okay. Very, very important. It helps it to make it more real because then you're being mirrored back in those feelings. If you're not, you're isolated and then you're just like constantly in that reflection of yourself. So sometimes it can cause a bit of difficulty, unless you're going to go do some kind of Buddhist meditation for some months or something like that. Then it will feel different. But yeah, this is why feeling our feelings is so important. Despite any of this, we will not be able to influence ourselves or others in our external environment unless we can first connect with our own feelings. That is so important. So that's a reading for today. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you again next time. Cheers. I don't even know. How do you stop this thing, guys? I haven't done the live in so long. I don't even know how to close it. What in the world is going on?